Welcome students. This is continuation class for 6th semester student for herbal drug technology in unit 1. It is necessary for you to have a continuous listening to the classes so that it will be easy for you to get ready for your university exam in the initial stage itself. This is lecture number 2 in the unit 1 chapter. Here the steps involved good agriculture practices we have discussed in the last class itself. In that I just forgot to add about pest and pesticides usage with the approved pesticides in good agriculture practice. Just a point. It has to be added. Number 1, selection of herbs and identification and authentication, in which botanical identity, specimens, specificity of seeds and other propagation materials. Number 2, cultivation of herbs, site selection, ecological environment and social impact, climate, soil, irrigation and drainage, pest and disease management, which I did not add in the last class in this slide. Students have to have a note, pest and disease management, which we have natural pesticides separate chapter, not separate topic. I will be explaining in the lecture number 4 or maybe 5. Number 3, collection of herbs, appropriate collection time and avoiding contaminations and other things, parameters are there in collection, especially harvesting is the other word which we can use while collecting the herbs. Number 4 is processing of raw materials. Repeated 5 mark questions have been asked in this topic, processing of raw materials. There are primary processing, in which we should know about garbling, washing, parboiling, leaching, drying. Secondary processing, cutting or we can say sectioning, aging or sweating, baking or roasting, boiling or steaming, stir frying, fumigation, extraction. You have to remember about the 4 points. That's why I put an arrow which is moving from the bottom to the top to show you. Number 1, selection of herbs and identification and authentication is an important for any good agriculture practice. And cultivation of herbs, collection of herbs, and the last one is processing of raw materials. So all these subheadings is needed for the student should know. This all I have to explain when you want to write GAP, good agriculture practice. Collection of medicinal plants, the first one when you want to explain, where applicable, the species or botanical varieties selected for cultivation should be the same as the specified in the national pharmacopoeia or recommended by other authoritative national documents of the end user's country. In the absence of such national documents, the selection of species or botanical varieties specified in the pharmacopoeia or other authoritative documents of other countries should be considered. In the case of new introduced medicinal plants, the species of botanical variety selected for cultivation should be identified and documented as the source material used or described in traditional medicine of the original country. Botanical identity. When we talk about botanical identity, the botanical identity, scientific name, genus, species, subspecies, variety, order, and family of such medicinal plants under cultivation should be verified and recorded. If available, the local and the English common names should be recorded. Other relevant information such as the cultivar name, ecotype, chemotype or phenotype may also be provided as appropriate. For commercially available cultivars, the name of the cultivar and of the supplier should be provided. In the case of land races, collected, propagated, disseminated, and grown in a specific region, records should be kept of the locally named line, including the origin of the source, seeds, plants, or any propagation materials which is used for the cultivation. Species of specimen of the species. How to have the specimen? We know that herbarium, before research, even in our college, we used to tell to prepare the herbarium and to document. So specimens, samples, preserving for a good agriculture practice, it's needed. So it should be, we know that with all the detail, botanical detail or biological detail of the material which you are going to cultivate to be recorded. In the case of first registration, in a procedures country of a medicinal plant or where a reasonable doubt exists as to be the identity of a botanical species, a voucher botanical specimen should be submitted to the regional national herbarium for identification. Where possible, a genetic pattern should be compared to that of an authentic specimen. Documentation of the botanical identity should be included in the registration file. Seeds and other propagation material, in which seeds and other propagation materials should be specified, and suppliers of seeds and other propagation material should be provided all necessary information related to the identity, quality, and performance of their products, as well as their breeding history where possible. The propagation of plant materials should be of the appropriate quality, and be as free as possible from contamination and diseases in order to promote healthy plant growth. Planting materials or material should preferably be resistant or tolerant to biotic or abiotic factors. Seeds, when you want to select seeds and other propagation material used for organic production, should be certified as being organally derived. The quality of propagation material, including any genetical modification, germplasm, should comply with regional and or national regulation and be appropriately labeled and documented as required. Care should be taken to execute extraneous species, botanical varieties and strains of medicinal plants during the entire production process. Counterfeit, substandard and adulterated propagation material must be avoided. Now come to the cultivation. Here, cultivation of medicinal plants require intensive care and management. The conditions and the duration of cultivation required vary depending on the quality of medicinal plant materials required. If no scientific published or documented cultivation data are available, traditional methods of cultivation should be followed where feasible. Otherwise, a method should be developed through research. The principle of good plant husbandry, including appropriate rotation of plants selected according to environment suitability, should be followed, and tillage, making up and down, digging and making up and down the soil should be adapted to plant growth and other requirements. Conservation agriculture technique should be followed where appropriate, especially in the buildup of organic matter. And conservation of soil humidity. Conservation agriculture also include no tillage, not making damage to the soil by means of tillage system also is needed to be followed. Conservation means prevention of wasteful use of a resource. Prevention of wasteful use of a resource. Tillage means, just I want to give you some information about the tillage when we come a word of there. Is the agriculture preparation of soil by mechanical agitation of various types such as digging, stirring and overturning. Example of human powered tilling methods of human powered tilling methods using hand tools including shoveling, picking, mattock working, hoeing and racking. But we used to think about tractor. But mechanical means can be done by human in small instruments. Tillage can also mean the land that is tilled. You can see this picture shows about the tractor, how it is doing the tillage for the soil. Shoveling means put or push. somewhere quickly and is large quantities like shown in the picture. This is he is shown the snow, but it can be done in the soil. Hoeing, Hoeing, hoeing is also making a steep and in between doing with an spade like instrument. Racking, you can see that having a strip of pointed needles like structure which can be used for racking. Mattock means with a pickaxe where you can dig strongly in hot surface of soil and makes upside down. Tillage. Now the students will have an idea about what is tillage. Site selection. Medicinal plant material derived from the same species can show significant differences in quality when cultivated at different sites owing to the influence of soil, climate, and other factors. These differences may relate to physical appearance or to variations in their constituents, the biosynthesis of which may be affected by extrinsic environmental conditions, including ecological and geographical variables, and should be taken into consideration. A risk of contamination as a result of pollution of the soil, air, or water by hazardous chemicals should be avoided. The impact of past land uses or the cultivation site, including the planting of previous crops and any applications of plant protection products should be evaluated. Ecological environment and social impact. The cultivation of medicinal plants may affect the ecological balance and in particular the genetic diversity of the flora and fauna in surrounding habits. The quality and growth of medicinal plants can also be affected by other plants, other living organisms, and by human activities. The introduction of non-endogenous or indigenous, not endogenous, non-indigenous medicinal plant species into cultivation may have a determinal impact on biological and ecological balance of region. Determinal means trending to cause the harm. So it is needed for you to know about the indigenous medicinal plant species. Climate conditions, for example, length of day, rainfall, water supply, that is rainfall deals with the water supply, and field temperature significantly influence the physical, chemical, and the biological qualities of medicinal plants. The duration of sunlight, average rainfall, average temperature, including daytime and nighttime temperature differences also influence the physiological and the biochemical activities of plants, and the prior knowledge should be considered. When we come to the soil should contain appropriate amount of nutrition, organic matter, and other elements to ensure optimum medicinal plant growth and quality. Optimal soil conditions include soil type, drainage, moisture, retention, fertility, and pH. Will be dictated by the selected medicinal plant species and or target medicinal plant part. The use of fertilizers is often indispensable in order to obtain large yields of medicinal plants. It is, however, necessary to ensure that correct type of quantities of fertilizers are used through agricultural research. In practice, organic and chemical fertilizers are used. Human excreta must not be used as a fertilizer owing to the potential presence of infectious microorganisms and parasites. Animal manures should be thoroughly composited to meet safety sanitary standards of acceptable microbial limits and destroyed by the germination capacity of weeds. Any application of animal manure should be documented. Chemical fertilizers that have been approved by the countries of cultivation and consumption should be used. All fertilizing agents should be applied sparingly and in accordance with the need of the particular medicinal plant species and supporting capacity of the soil. Fertilizers should be applied in such a manner as to minimize leaching. Growers should implement practice that constitute or contribute to the soil conservation and minimize erosion. It should minimize conservation and harmful can be reduced by minimizing the erosion. For example, through the creation of streamside buffer zone by planting many buffer zone plants, keeping a gap between the water resource, a lake or a river, why not a sea, a soil, it is a stream buffer zone and a planting of cover crops and a green manure crops grown to the plowed in such as alfalfa. Even we can use that crops for various other purposes. A leaching, you should know what is leaching. We use this word. Draining away from soil ash or similar materials by the action of percolation liquid, especially rainwater which pass through the soil, through the resources or to the reservoir, to the lake near or to the river running nearby. What about composite? It's very common, which we know that a mixture of decayed or decaying organic matter used to fertilize soil. Composite is usually made by gathering plant material such as leaves, grass, clips and vegetable peels into a pile or bin and letting it to rot and to make it composite. You should know this picture about the general idea about the buffer zone. Streamside buffer zones and planting of cover crops like alfalfa. You see that the cultivation land was having a buffer zone planted with short bushes or trees where it can control the leaching due to percolation of the nutrients through rainwater to the river which is passing through. And this is also an example to show that how nitrogen denitrification takes place, volatilization of ammonia in the form, and leaching through the soil if the buffer zone is not there. And you can see this is the schematic diagram to show the original picture, showing the tree present in a shrub and a grass. That is called the buffer zone. And water and the land, how the resource, the river flowing or the lake, and development area where it is the cultivation area we prefer for our good agriculture practice. So you have to know about the buffer zone. Alfalfa is a plant which can be used to grown, and it can be grown in the buffer zone, and it can be give some yield, or it can be collected and it can be harvested for other uses. Nowadays alfalfa, even it is available in the market due to its nutrition value as a nutraceutical. Alfalfa is also loose in air and called Medicago sativa in binomial nomenclature, is a perennial flowering plant in the legume family Fabaceae. It is cultivated as an important forage crop in many countries. It can be used as a buffer zone also, but it is cultivated as an important forage crop in many countries around the world. It is used as a grazing, hay, and silage, as well as a green manure and a cover crop, which is grown in the buffer zone. You can see this is the plant, like a small grass, but it has a nutrition value. Silage means, what do you mean by silage? It's a type of folder made from green foliage crops like alfalfa, which have been preserved by acidification achieved through fermentation. It can be fed to cattle also. So this is another plant which you should know, that forage crops are crops grown specifically to be grasped by the livestock and conserved as a hay or silage. So these all are the plants which will be grown usually in the buffer zone, which can stop the leaching of nutrients from the soil. The soil nutrients and soil originality can be saved by means of having buffer zone. Irrigation and drainage. Irrigation and drainage should be controlled and carried out in accordance with the needs of the individual medicinal plant species during its various stages of growth. Water used for irrigation purposes should be comply with local, regional, and or national quality standards. Care should be exercised to ensure that the plant under cultivation are neither over nor under water. In the choice of irrigation, as a general rule, the health impact of the different types of irrigation, especially various forms of surface, subsurface, or overheaded irrigation. That's what types of irrigation. Particularly on the risk of increased vector-borne disease transmission. Dotted leaves, the disease caused to cut the leaves and the coconut tree shrinking in the top due to the vector-borne diseases transmission must be taken into account. So while irrigation, the water should be very much tested whether there is any vector-borne disease is transmitted. This is a picture to show you about the vector-borne diseases, the dots, infected leaves, infected banana plantation, and you can see the infected coconut tree, and you can see the banana fruits, how it has been affected due to this vector-borne disease transmission. So we should be very careful in finding out this pest and use the pest and disease management. Integrated pest management is very important in good agriculture practice. Employing a combination of methods like biological control, cultural practice, and judicious use of pesticides to manage pests and diseases. Sanitation, here maintaining a clean and hygienic environment to prevent pest and disease outbreaks. Now comes to collection. This can be even written as a harvesting also, is a part of collection. Key aspects of good agriculture collection practice for collection include: 1. Appropriate collection time. Number 2. Proper handling. Number 3. Avoiding contaminations. Number 4. Documentation and traceability. And number 5. Sustainable harvesting. And number 6. Training for the collector. Number 7. Minimizing the environmental impact. So these 7 points you should specify while writing a good agriculture practice, explaining about a good agriculture collection process. These are the aspects which should be followed. When you want to explain about number 1, appropriate collection time, the time of collection is crucial as the concentration of the active components or compounds can vary with the plant's growth stage and the season. Number 2, proper handling, in which collected plant material should be handled carefully to avoid damage and degradation, preserving its quality. And number 3, avoid contaminations. Care must be taken to prevent contamination from soil, pests, and other sources during collection. Number 4, documentation and traceability, in which details records of the collection process, including location, date, and the collector's name, and essential to traceability of quality control and the quality control. Number 5, sustainable harvesting. Good agriculture collection practice emphasizes the importance of sustainable collection practice to protect wild populations and their habitats. And number 6, training. Collectors should be trained in good agriculture collection practice principles and best practices to ensure consistent quality. Always we are pointing out in quality and efficacy, and you come to a medicinal or herbal products and as well as herbal collection or harvesting of medicinal plants. So number 7, minimizing environmental impact. Here, collecting or collection methods should minimize the damage to the surrounding ecosystem. It's very important to have a point when you are going for harvesting or collection of a good agriculture collection practice. And processing of herbal raw materials, which is usually they have asked for 5-mark question repeatedly. Processing of herbal raw materials involve various stages from which the crude drugs undergoes after harvesting, after collection, which are further subcategorized as follows. So the student should remember in point by point. Primary processing of herbal raw material, in which garbling, washing, parboiling, leaching and drying. So the 5 points you should know and explain them. And secondary processing of herbal raw materials, in which cutting or sectioning, aging or sweating, and baking or roasting, and boiling or steaming, stir frying, and fumigation. And last one is extraction. So we should know that 5 points in primary processing of herbal raw materials and 7 points should be explained in the secondary processing of herbal raw materials. So like this, when you have an idea about the slide, then you can go for your explanation even if it is a 10-mark or 5-mark question. This is a processing, just in a video of black pepper, which is more cultivated in our area. In hill area, Idukki district, and also even we can say in most of our Pathanamthitta districts, and also in Kottayam district, and why not in Kanyakumari district. Everywhere you can have this cultivation and the processing. Some they used to use this climber in big trees like coconut or palm tree, very rarely, but they used to have sticks, strong sticks, and to make the climber and makes to grow like this, and collecting the ripe seeds, ripe fruits, and dried them and going for the processing, like primary processing and secondary processing. If not needed, it's also have to be used to prepare them. So primary processing, when you want to go for explanation, first starting with garbling, it is otherwise it can be called as sorting out, separating the impurities, separating the unwanted parts. This processing helps in ensuring the purity and cleanliness or cleanliness of the harvested material. Dirt like soil, dust, impurities like insects, dead tissues, and residual non-medicinal plants are separated from the raw material. Washing. Here, after garbling, the herb or herbal raw material should be cleaned well to remove the traces, removing soil, dirt, and other impurities from the surface. The roots, rhizome, and tuber are washed with clean water. During the washing process, scraping and brushing may necessary. Parboiling, blatching, otherwise it is called blatching. Here, after washing, Certain herbal raw materials needed to undergo parboiling process in which they are put in boiling water for a short period. This may help in improving the storage life or the raw material and prevent insect mold contaminations. It may also facilitate in further processing such as removal of or you can say stubborn impurities, sticked impurities, as well as overcoats covering of the raw materials can also be removed by parboiling process, or you can say as batching. Leaching. Here some impurities can be removed by subjecting the plant material under running water, known as leaching. However, the duration of leaching should be controlled to prevent the loss of chemical constituents or active principle present in the crude drug. Drying. Here, in some cases, the plant material should be thoroughly dried after washing in order to prevent the deterioration and degradation of active constituents. They must be dried as soon as possible to remove moisture and reduce the damage due to microbial infestation. Drying also prevents the activation of certain enzymes which may otherwise degrade and the active ingredients, and also by drying it can facilitate grinding or comminuting and milling of the raw materials. Depending on the drug and nature of the ingredient, different drying methods can be used, which are as follows: natural drying, using sunlight, sun drying. More herbal raw materials can be dried in open air under direct sunshine, provided the climate is suitable. The duration of drying process depends on the physical structure of the plant material and weather conditions. And shade drying. Some medicinal plants cannot be directly exposed to sunlight, hence needed to be dried under shade. Thus, drying process is slow but helps in minimizing loss of color, volatile oils and aromatic components are from being evaporated. Artificial drying. Drying by artificial heat to more rapid than open air drying and is necessary in raining season and regions where there is high humidity. The temperature and equipments used for drying depends on the physical and the chemical nature of the drug and its constituents. Various equipments such as tray dryers, spray dryers, vacuum dryers are used. Overheating may lead to excessive loss of volatile components as well as decomposition of chemical constituents. The temperature should be kept below 60 degrees centigrade wherever possible. When come to the secondary processing of herbal raw materials, the secondary processing differs from the one herb to other depending on the nature of the active ingredients as well as therapeutic properties. Cutting, sectioning and the comminuting. All this you might have studied in pharmaceutical engineering subject in second semester. After thoroughly drying, the herbal materials are processed by cutting and sectioning into smaller sizes, which are convenient for storage as well as extraction. Various sizes can be obtained depending on the part of the herb and extraction method which is used. It may be small particles, coarse powder, or fine powder. Aging or sweating. Aging refers to sorting the raw material for a specific time after harvesting. It is generally done under sun or in shade for up to an year. There are plants will be kept for an year before use to get its proper activity. During the process, the aging, excessive water is evaporated and enzymatic reaction may occur to alter the chemical composition of herbal material for its medicinal use. Example, we can see cascara bark. An example should be aged for at least a year to use in medicinal preparation to reduce its irritant effect which is present before the aging or sweating. Sweating is done by subjecting the herbal material at a temperature between 45 to 65 degrees centigrade with high humidity of a period ranging from 1 week to few months. The herbal materials are stocked between wooden blanks or other kind of cloth, thick cloths. The sweating process is considered a hydrolytic and oxidative process. It considered a hydrolytic or oxidative process in which some of the chemical ingredients of the herbs are hydrolyzed or oxidized. You can see this is the cascara bark after sweating, and this it squills actually, that is removed into smaller pieces, and when you come to it's an active ingredient of cascara is anthraquinones. It is used for usually for the patient with constipation, used as a very good laxative like senna. Cascara is used as a laxative for constipation as well as treatment of gallstones, liver ailments and cancer. Some people use it as a bitter tonic for digestive enzymes. In foods and beverages they are using a bitter extract of cascara is sometimes used as a flavoring agent even. So just an example how they do the sweating and what do you mean by sweating, you just got an idea about sweating and aging. You see example for vanilla bean are subjected to sweating between wooden planks for about 2 months. Vanilla, you might have heard about vanilla. I took an example to show you what do you mean by sweating and what do you mean by aging. The 2 months during the sweating methods for vanilla beans, which they lose up to 80% of weight and develop a characteristic desirable color and odor. You can see the color and the odor, how it is changed. It will be kept in the tray for 2 months, and you can see how it is even open air also it can be kept, and it will be change its color. Now we have to know about the baking or roasting. Here in this process, or you can say it is a process of drug heating where the herbal materials is heated in ovens. The temperature of heating and during of baking or roasting vary from one herbal material to another until the drug develops a specific odor. examples like example, we can say nutmeg, which is very much commonly cultivated in our area, which nutmeg is now the emerging medicinal plant as well as which is more used in our food material as a flavoring agent. And also it has more important in many Ayurvedic preparations. Nutmeg is roasted until they turn to yellow brown color. Boiling or steaming, the next process. In the boiling process, the drug is cooked in water or any other liquid solvent such as vinegar, wine, milk, and animal urine. Even they are using cow urine. Example, Acorus calamus. Acorus calamus is a rhizome is boiled in cow's urine to enhance its anti-convulsion effect. It has anti-convulsion effect which can be enhanced when it is boiled with cow urine. In the steaming process, the herb material is kept in the contact with the steam using the steamer, resulting in development of moisture texture. Example, roots of Polygonum multiforum are steamed in the presence of another black bean decoction to enhance the tonic effect. So you see, it needs some other support, some other natural chemicals from some other plants and natural chemicals from the animal urine like cow urine used in Acorus calamus, and roots of Polygonum multiforum is used with a black bean decoction. So Acorus calamus rhizome is like this, plant is like this. It's in Malayalam you can say Vayambu or you can say Vasanbu, and in Tamil also Vacha. And a Polygonum multiforum is a plant with a rhizome in this form. It is the rhizome which is, and it is used for, you are using black bean decoction. Black bean decoction, it is a dried ripe seed of coffee arabica, of coffee, belonging to the family Rubiaceae. It extracts and it will be used for this purpose to get the secondary processing. So you should remember about this boiling and steaming can be done with another plant extract also, as these two examples are denoted for you to mention if they ask in any short notes or short questions. Stir frying, stir firing, stir barking is also there. Stir barking usually in formulation we used to do with honey or jaggery. In Ayurveda they used to mix up with various drugs. Stir frying. So it is a process in which herbal materials are put into a pot or frying pan and continuously stirring or tossed for a specific period under heat until an external color changes. Just an example how you roast the peanuts when they are in a shell, with shell. People used to roast with sand so that uniform heat will be supplied and you will get a very good tasty the seeds when it is broken from the shell. Frying pan, that is one example I am telling about, but in medicinal plants it can be specified various heat until the external color changes, charred or even carbonized. To facilitate uniform heating, the drug materials can be admixed with sand, talc, clay, as I told, to get an uniform heating. Example, licorice, roots and rhizomes are stir fried with honey. Even they are sweetening agents, so it can be even used honey. What in the fumigation? Sometimes the harvested raw materials are subjected to fumes. You might have well known about the Kerala, we are using that Kodambudi. Not only in Kerala, most of the places in Karnataka, everywhere. This was used by fumes after plucking the fruits. Fumes will be passed through to get it preserved. And fumigation, natural fumigation we are using even in the home for as a mosquito repellent. For with sulfur dioxide is commonly employed to some, not to TOR, to some medicinal herbs for the purpose of preserving the color, improving appearance, bleaching, and prevention of growth of insects and mold. So for prevention of insect and mold also we used to use fumigation. This is for prevention of insects and mold, a natural method of preparing a fumigation in our home. She is taking about the neem tree leaves, and then she used to add tulsi, and she used to add even tamarind, and not tamarind, it is turmeric, and this is a very good interesting fumigation. And you can add this garlic, and altogether when you prepare with lemon is added along with it. So all of them after making into a powder, and it will be making a natural hot from the coconut shell fire, in which when you add this powder you will get a fumes, a pleasant fumes. It can be repel insects, bacteria, and also it's very healthy fuming of the home. So fuming of this home can also be used for a good agriculture practice as a secondary processing of raw materials can be also used this fuming as a natural. This is an example simply. And when we come to the extraction of herbal materials in the secondary processing materials of herbal materials, extraction is a process we have studied in a long way, very in detail in 5th semester. Extraction is a process of extraction or separation in which the chemical constituents present in the plant and tissues are removed by using selective solvents, which is called as a menstruum. Herbal extracts include infusions, decoctions, fluid extracts, tincture, and powder extracts. The herbal preparations so obtained may be readily for the use of medicinal agents, or it may be further processed to finished products such as tablets, capsules, and pills. Infusions, decoctions, fluid extracts, tinctures, powdered extracts. You should mention all this point by point as small notes so that you will get a full mark if they ask about the processing of raw materials. Infusions. It is a liquid prepared or preparation obtained by extraction. Herbal materials which either cold or hot water without boiling. Other solvents may also be used. Number 2, decoction. It is a liquid preparation obtained by boiling the herbal materials with water. Number 3, fluid extract. It is a liquid preparation obtained by maceration or percolation of herbal alcohol. The ratio will be 1 part of liquid containing 1 part of herbs, 1:1. Tinctures. It is dilute alcoholic extract of herbal materials typically made up of parts of herbal materials with 5 to 10 parts of the solvent. Powdered extracts is a form of herbal preparation which is processed into dried, granulated or powdered material. Thank you for having this class. We will continue with the next lecture. For the same unit, we have, it's a wide unit. As I discussed, there are many questions they have asked, minimum 15 to 70 marks, 17 marks they have asked in your final university question paper. Thank you. After listening, please take down your notes and also subscribe my channel. Thank you.